Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Richard Koritz, and I'm here with my co-host and old friend, brother, comrade, fellow trade unionist, working class fighter, O.W. Sweeney. And together, we're proud to
be brought to you by the North Carolina Triad Jobs with Justice, where you can reach us at 336-272-2758 or email
at NC Triad Jobs with Justice at gmail.com. All right.
All right, brother. We got that. We got that together.
We got that together, and you. I want to.
I want to kind of bring up some elections. Nothing that's went on here in North Carolina, but in reference to the Democratic Party and how people are being portrayed. And I would like to give a little brief statement of what capitalism is. Capitalism is people owning businesses and making the money for themselves. Okay,
off of workers.
Off of workers' backs.
Okay.
And then you got the socialists, the ones who want to come together and work together for the people as a whole. And then you got the communists, who some say like to own the business for the people. But the last two circle around for the people. For instance, the president of the United States go around calling, I can't think of those candidates who ran
Democratic Socialists.
Democratic Socialists is calling him, they're communists.
Yeah.
But he don't say that he hate communism, because you see he like Putin, he like Kim Jong-un, he like, I can't put the Chinese
Z.
Prime Minister, what's that? He like all those people. And yet, when he came into office, one of the first things he wanted to do was not to help the people, as he was talking about. He wanted to give money back in his capitalistic system to the rich.
Excuse me, but to the super rich, actually. He wanted to bypass just the regular rich. He mainly wanted to give it to the super rich.
Well, he dropped them a few crumbs.
True, that's true.
A few crumbs.
Right.
Whereas the working people who are suffering,
right,
he dropped them a bill called "You're gonna keep on paying taxes."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kills me about all those big time folks, the billionaires, and they praise about how great the United States of America is and how they love this system, but yet they don't want to pay no taxes to support it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
tell it, brother.
I'm gonna let you talk about those last victory, which I see with the people speaking to the Democratic Party that you're not doing for the people. Because I remember one time they used to talk about a $15 hour raise. I ain't heard that in a long time from the Democrats.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage, yes.
Minimum wage.
So I'm gonna let you take it with them Democratic Socialists.
Okay.
So for those people, for the people.
Right. Well, I'm glad you raised this topic of capitalism, socialism, and communism, and as you said, you raised it around the flack that the corporate Wall Street Democrats are trying to give to the Democratic Socialists that are winning a hell of a lot of these races. So, for example, last night in Colorado, a 29-year-old Democratic Socialist whose name is Milot, I may not be pronouncing it properly, I'm sorry, Milot Quiros. Her last name begins with a K, as does mine.
Okay.
And she defeated. She's from Ethiopian background, and she defeated the incumbent representative Diana DeJet, in the Democratic primary, and this is in Denver, the voters rejected Colorado's longest-serving member of Congress in favor of youth and change. Both of them, OW, had supported, at least in words, Medicare for all, and both of them were for abolishing ICE. Two excellent platforms. But what Milot Quiros said is, we will not wait to take the fight to Trump and the oligarchy. So that was her position, and the woman who's been in there, I think it's 9 terms. Milot Quiros said she thanked her for having paved the way, and she was just about around the time that Milot Quiros was born, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was about, or she was a very young girl, and these progressive ideas were floated by Diana DeJette. But as she said in some of the campaign, sometimes if you're there a long time, you end up getting sucked up into getting too close to the corporate interests that you came in to straighten out. And the other thing about her, that is this Sister Quiros that won last night, and it's a very blue district, so there's not much question that she'll become the new congresswoman there. But the other point of difference between her and Diana DeJette, the incumbent, was that the incumbent had taken money from the Israeli lobby and the AIPAC, and that
you mean those campaign contributions?
Yeah. Yeah,
or,
right.
or were they campaign contribution, or was they a bribe?
Well, since it's anti-people, from our perspective, we'd have to say that in reality it was a bribe, but the fact, and Milot Quiros has been an outspoken supporter of the rights of the Palestinian people, and I just want to say here, as a Jewish person myself, I'm proud that there are many Jewish people in the United States right now, finally, after all these years, who are anti-Israel because they're pro-humanity, and they're pro-Palestinian because they're pro-humanity. And I guess I have to get this in right now. I had tried to get Alan Johnson in the News and Record when he promised me a long piece at the time of the last election. My main point was to try to encourage Harris to reach out with respect to the Palestinian and the pro-Palestinians like myself, who were willing to support her against this fascistic and now fascist Trump. And Johnson blocked that from happening. So, but this is a good example where the incumbent woman and the longest-serving congressperson in Colorado
Yeah.
was saying the right things and even voting sometimes on the right things, but she was not fighting for those right things. And now this Democratic Socialist is coming in, it seems likely, as she won the Democratic primary decisively. And so that's one. And then the other one that we want to talk about is
let me get this little tidbit in.
Go ahead.
Because you talk about the people being anti-Israel, and people really not understanding that the reason they're anti-Israel is because when they established Israel, it was not deserted land. There was human beings on there.
Right. The Palestinian people
was
there
on there.
and
it
had
was
been
on
there
that land.
historically.
And I can't help from thinking that when people get tired of people going in and taking over other people, when it's going to come back to the United States of America, and we're going to look at my brothers and sisters up on the reservation who's being genocide
Right.
by this government, by our tax dollars.
Yeah.
When we need to stand up and start fighting for them as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. So, but I want to also discuss briefly the three endorsements that all led to victory in New York City under Mayor Mamdani, who you and I have been very supportive of, because unlike some of the other Democrats that have won in this period of time, and they've been all, been largely victorious over the Trump party in this period, the fascist party, and but unlike those people, Mamdani, as we've said, led a tremendous mobilization in New York City.
Yes.
To try to make New York City affordable for its working class citizens of all nationalities, all ethnicities, and so forth. One of the people that had worked in the same spirit with Mamdani was Brad Lander, a New York Jewish man who was the comptroller at the time of the city of New York. And he backed Mamdani in the end after Mamdani had defeated former Governor Cuomo and another disgraced eminent person, the former police chief and then incumbent mayor Adams, and who made a deal with Trump right out in the open. And Brad Lander came in next in the race, and he threw all his support to Mamdani, and he had fought against ICE taking immigrant people, and he like me is a Jewish person who's been an anti-Zionist and is anti-Israel and anti-Israeli genocide, and so he defeated another Jewish man who's been seen on MS Now, which formerly MSNBC, and talked a good game about a lot of things around Trump, Dan Goldman. But Dan Goldman took that poison money from AIPAC and all, and Lander was a principled force.
Are you saying that was a campaign contribution or was it a bribe? I'm trying to.
I think our viewers are going to get the idea.
I want to make sure they don't miss it.
Okay, and so Brad Lander, one of the three people that New York City Mayor Mamdani endorsed in the primaries for Congress, defeated the incumbent Dan Goldman, even though he had the cover of being a progressive.
The backings of Hakeem Jeffries,
right?
The backings of Chuck Schumer,
yeah,
and they're supposed to be the minority leaders in their respective houses,
right? Yeah, right, exactly. And
for the Democrats, who haven't put anything forward for the people,
right. But they're really, and particularly Schumer, even more than Jeffries, but Jeffries too.
He takes a lot of that campaign money.
Yeah, and they represent Wall Street. Not an accident that the two leaders are both from New York.
Oh.
And where is Wall Street located? Oh yeah, in New York.
Wall.
And so the other two people that Mamdani endorsed, a young Latina, Claire Valdez, defeated the Brooklyn borough president, as you know, because you lived there
I lived in Brooklyn
for some time. That's a powerful job.
Oh,
so the Brooklyn borough president was defeated by Claire Valdez. She is a Democratic Socialist, and so is the other woman that won. But Claire Valdez, the retiring Latina Congresswoman, backed the borough president. Mamdani backed Valdez, the DSA representative, and she won. And in the third case, the incumbent congressperson, Espelette, was defeated by Daria Eliza Chevalier, another Democratic socialist. And what we can see is, and we on this show have been trying to expose to our viewers for years, and especially in the second term, the need to fight the fascist regime of Donald Trump.
Well, and not only Donald Trump, well, you see,
led by Donald Trump. Well, let's not go into it too much now.
No, I just want to say,
go ahead.
We're fighting the fascist regime led by Donald Trump because he's such an extremist at it. But
that's
we still need to fight the Chuck Schumers, the Hakeem Jeffries, because they're not.
Because they are undermining the fight against fascism.
That's right.
Yeah, and so what we're looking at now, OW, is that 250 years ago, the United States, or the 13 colonies, they declared their national independence 250 years ago, and within about 6 or 8 years they had won it through heroic armed struggle. And as I said on one of our recent shows, Trump is absolutely incapable of providing any inspiring celebrations of this 250th anniversary, because then the national independence was achieved from British King George, and now we have the U.S. King, Trump, in that exact, just about as close a position as you could get to that.
Yes.
And so we're full circle, but that full circle is with Trump installing himself with the Project 2025 and all of these people like Miller and J.D. Vance and unofficially Trump's sons and son-in-law and so forth.
Yes,
and
yes.
and the Saudi ruling class and so forth, and Israel, and Trump gives this. And this is what you have been saying, that Trump gives to the super rich, and that's the capitalism of today, and giving to the poor and the working class, as you said, is socialism and communism. Those are the things where that's taken care of. And so what the voters are saying in so many places, including in much of New York,
we the people,
and exactly,
to form a more perfect union.
Yeah, right. And so I'd like to, that first of all, that's also helped the Democratic Socialists and all, and the Indivisible and other groups calling us out into the streets.
Black Lives Matter, all those folks.
Right. Exactly.
We need to take to the streets to
fight these fascists.
Yes.
And
people have to understand that there's a certain element that look at Trump and thinks he's right and think he's doing them right.
And that element's shrinking quite a bit.
Well,
it really is.
I understand what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna put it in the words of a song by the OJs. He's smiling in your face.
That backstabber?
That backstabber is stabbing you in the back at the same time. And people have to understand that because you're believing in something that's not there.
Yeah. Well,
not for you anyway.
Right. Right. And we talk about the building that Trump has been doing, and the grafting. It's been more the crumbling and the destruction of the White House East Wing and the big beautiful ballroom is about as big and beautiful as that tax bill that gave the rich all this stuff. So I
That's supposed to be paid for by private money.
Yeah,
and that, would he
and
want
now
$1
it
billion
turned
to?
right, and it's turned out he's looking.
Yeah,
He's
we're
looking
gonna
really
build a wall, and
for
Mexico
us.
gonna pay for it.
Yeah, right. That's about the same thing.
Yeah.
So I did want to mention that there was an article in May in the News and Record by Senator Bernie Sanders, one of the few Democratic socialists that has been functioning for a long time successfully in the midst of, or somewhat successfully, in the midst of all of these corporate Wall Street Democrats and now fascist Republicans, formerly Wall Street Republicans, now fascist Republicans. He starts out his article by saying, "Congratulations to the trade unions for gathering the signatures necessary to put a 5% billionaire's wealth tax on the California ballot this November." And he mentions that if passed, that would raise $100 billion from just 200 billionaires in California, who together are worth more than $2 trillion. That revenue would prevent millions of low-income and working-class Californians from losing health care and nutrition assistance because of President Donald Trump's disastrous Big Beautiful Bill law. Then he goes on to say that nationally, after receiving one of the largest tax breaks in modern history, 938 billionaires increased their wealth by $1.5 trillion. So let's review with our audience that $1 million is $1,000. $1 billion is $1,000 million, and $1 trillion is $1,000 billion. So
I thought you wanted to review the fact that after that big beautiful bill that Donald Trump pushed out for the filthy rich.
Right, exactly.
In reference to that big beautiful bill that he pushed on Iran that closed the straits, Hormuz, am I saying that right?
Hormuz, yeah.
And raising prices on the poor.
Right, absolutely. But
he stood up and said, and which I can never understand, people understanding why you ain't ready to get rid of this man. He stood up and said, it's only going to be for 2 weeks. Do he realize what 2 weeks of raising prices on the oil does to the poor?
Yeah.
Or maybe, he don't care.
No, now there you go.
He don't care how it is.
Amen,
but yet those people are still hanging on to it.
But the important thing, some of them are, but what we're trying to present.
Excuse me if there's one is too many. Go ahead.
What we're trying to present are some of the astounding facts, and these come from Bernie Sanders' article. He said that, I already mentioned, 938 billionaires increased their wealth by $1.5 trillion. Incredibly, the richest man alive, Elon Musk, now owns more wealth, viewers, than the bottom 53% of U.S. households. That means that Musk alone has more wealth than more than half of the households in the United States combined. Over the past 6 years, U.S. billionaires more than doubled their wealth, gaining over $4.6 trillion.
And how many wage increase was happening at that time? How many?
No, I'm going to get to that. I got one more. I'm going to give an answer to that. I'm going to get to that. The average in this, I just want to say, and since 1975, nearly $80 trillion was redistributed from the bottom 90%. That's almost all of us, brothers and sisters, to the top 1%. Since 1975, 80 trillion. Now to get to your question, OW. Despite enormous gains in productivity and technology, the average American worker is making $28 a week less today than they did 53 years ago, adjusting for inflation.
Well,
So
inflation in my book ain't nothing but a poor working person pay cut.
Well, that looks like that's what they're
It's a
saying
pay
with this.
cut.
Absolutely.
And,
So Sanders himself is now
getting
put
kinda
forward.
close to the end.
Yeah, okay. Sanders himself has now proposed, using the model of the California bill that's coming out, they're going to be voted on in November, a 5% annual wealth tax on the 938 billionaires in America, who collectively are worth more than $8.2 trillion. In over a decade, this bill would raise $4.4 trillion. If passed in the first year, it would provide every man, woman, and child in a household making $150,000 or less with a $3,000 direct payment. That's $12,000 for a family of four. It would provide the resources necessary to build 7 million units of low-income and affordable homes and apartments. It would expand Medicare to cover dental, vision, and hearing. It would guarantee universal child care. It would ensure, it would restore health care to the 15 million Americans who are losing it under Trump. Okay, and if Sanders says if this bill was in effect this year, Elon Musk would pay $39 billion more in taxes, leaving him with just, these quotation marks, $737 billion to survive.
That really hurts him, huh?
Meanwhile, the question of the socialists and the democratic socialists need to
And
become...
the capitalists who are trying to bleed the poor.
Right. And so the democratic socialists are...
Keep winning, baby. Keep winning. And
in
America,
our
wake
unity-
up. Wake up.
In our unity
Unity lies our strength.